Hello, everybody, and welcome into episode 65 of the Dorton and Doetkott Debate Podcast. I am Lucas Dorton. Nick Doeckott's here, and a familiar face on the Dorton and Doetkott Podcast, Mr. Caleb Sipe himself. Caleb, how are you doing on this evening?
Well, I mean, pretty good considering the Wild are up a lot to a little.
Sorry, I can't.
Yeah, they're up 1-0, but who cares?
Can't be with you on that one.
How's it feel to not have Real Kaprizov on your team? Must suck.
Yeah.
You guys don't have anyone close to his level.
Nico.
Hey, I know this is a mock draft podcast, but while we're on it, honestly, this probably sounded like blasphemy at the beginning of the year, but Kaprizov might be the best player between the Wild and the Avs. I know you have Nathan McKinnon. I know you do.
Agree with that.
He's a stud, man.
I will not agree with that.
I don't think he is yet either. I'm not going to go that far, but he's good. He's good, man.
Anyway,
Wild are coming.
Points.
We're going to move on to our topic of discussion this evening, folks. And with Caleb joining us, that usually means we're talking about one thing, and it's probably going to be a mock draft episode. And that's why he is here. We're going to go pick by pick, team by team. Nick and I are going to try and give you our predictions of who we think are going to go in what position. But so will Caleb. But the difference is Caleb is actually going to sound like he knows what he's talking about. And Nick and I probably won't. But we're certainly going to try. We're certainly going to try nonetheless.
Totally.
But anyways.
I don't know, that Isaiah Simmons pick didn't go out too well for me.
Well, that's all right. Even all the greats make a few mistakes here and there. So you're good.
Is that a reference to Brett Favre sending a picture?
Oh, Lord.
And on to the next point here. So we're starting off with, once again, the number one overall pick for the second straight year in a row, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Nick, who do you have going first overall here?
Well, this is the first year in quite a while where it's not set in stone. It's kind of interesting. I mean, it could be one of many people. I believe Aiden Hutchinson is the favorite, but beginning of the year was Thibodeau, and he still could be. They could take Evan Neal, offensive lineman, but I have them taking Aiden Hutchinson. This is a deep offensive tackle. There's a decent amount of linemen in this draft, and there's a lot of edge rushers. I think they're going to go edge rush. It really just depends what they go. And if they go edge rush, which one? It sounds like Aiden Hutchinson's probably the best one out there, to most people's opinion. I really don't have an opinion on who's better, but I'm going to go with Hutchinson as their pick.
I got you. Yeah, no, I feel you on that one. The way that I look at it too, again, I just feel like you just said, there isn't really a Trevor Lawrence was the guy. And he was going number one last year, no doubt about that. And I do think Aiden Hutchinson, like you said, is still the guy this year. But I just think that, I don't know, I feel because he's a defensive player, he's not getting the push that a quarterback consensus number one overall would have. And so maybe that makes it feel like there's a little more question behind it. But I'm with you. I do think Aiden Hutchinson is number one. Caleb, who do you have?
Yeah, Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, he's got the highest floor of any defensive end in this draft. He's going to come in. He can be a Pro Bowl caliber player almost right away. His ceiling isn't quite as high as Thibodeau, but with his floor being, I'm trying to think of any other pass rushing prospects in recent years that have had a floor as high as Aiden Hutchinson. He's that good. Don't overthink it, Jacksonville. Just take Aiden Hutchinson. I don't think Houston's regretting taking Mario Williams. It just feels like that kind of pick. You take the guy who he's just going to be good.
Right.
Is there any chance they take Kayvon?
I don't think so. Just because he's more, he's a boomer bust, but his bust is still he's getting 4 to 6 sacks a season. But there, with the questions about his personality, some Giants scout said that he had some concerns with his personality, which also could just be a big smokescreen because the Giants are sitting there at number 5, just hoping that Thibodeau falls to them. But I think it's a pretty clear-cut choice. If you're Jacksonville, you take Aiden Hutchinson.
Now, I know one of his biggest, I think, props for Aiden Hutchinson is everyone talks about his motor. The guy has a motor you can't shut off. Just keeps going, keeps going, keeps going. And deservedly so. That's a great thing. But, Caleb, what else about Aiden Hutchinson makes him worthy going number 1? You obviously have to have a high motor. Playing defensive end, you got to have that. But what else does he bring to the table that makes him number 1 overall worthy?
Well, he's got proven production already. He was number 2 in the nation. I forget if it was in TFLs or in sacks, but it was number 2 to Will Anderson from Alabama, who is going to be an absolute monster when we do next year or the following year's mock draft. Early bet would be put him number 1 overall, unless like Stroud looks like the number 1 guy. But he has the production in college. He's proven he can do it against Big Ten tackles. He just is the best there is right now.
Sure. Yeah. And I would agree with you on that one. But anyways, so Jacksonville got their quarterback last year. Hopefully they get one of their star defensive rushers this year, back-to-back number 1 overall picks. Let's see how that goes. So the second overall pick in the draft belongs to none other than the Detroit Lions. Again, obviously, last year they went O-line with their first-round pick with Penei Sewell. This year, though, love that man, Penei Sewell. Got to give the respect to those O-linemen out there everywhere. You deserve it. Now, the second overall pick here for Detroit, I went with Kayvon Thibodeau out of Oregon as the edge rusher. I'm assuming all you guys also had him as well, too, going second.
Yes, but I did debate putting Sauce Gardner or Derek Stingley there.
Okay.
I have Kayvon as well.
You have Kayvon as well. So Caleb, if you want to talk me through a little bit about what you like about Kayvon Thibodeau and why you potentially thought about throwing one of those 2 other corners up there instead of him.
Yeah, so I think Thibodeau has the highest ceiling of any edge rusher in this draft. I mean, his ceiling is just through the roof. He's an elite athlete, and he did disappear a little bit at times, so I do have to question, is he 100% committed 100% of the time, which is an issue when you're taking a player at number 2 overall.
He had injury problems too, didn't he?
What was it?
He had injury problems too, didn't he?
He did have some injury problems, and so it sounds like he's made a full recovery from his knee injury. I believe it was a knee injury, if I'm remembering correctly. So it sounds like the injury shouldn't be an issue. It's just his motor and his personality, which, I mean, with the right coaching, you can get over that kind of issue. You can't teach athleticism, and that's what Kayvon Thibodeau has. Is he is a very good athlete, and he knows how to get to the quarterback. So I think that's why Thibodeau is going to go there. I did consider corner because, well, it's Detroit. I mean, what don't they need? I guess they don't need a running back or a left tackle, or the interior of their line is pretty solid there. I believe they also have their offensive line is decent. So I don't see them going offensive line there. But corner, there's a handful of really good corners, but there's just a few of them that are actually elite talents. And so if you have a chance to grab an elite corner there, you probably consider it, seeing as they don't have a pick again until 32, when you're looking at guys like Roger McCreary or Kyler Gordon. So I could see them considering corner, but I think ultimately Kayvon Thibodeau is the move there.
Gotcha. Yeah, you kind of hit it perfectly, at Detroit. They got a lot of needs. So
Take Sam Howell.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, so that's an interesting question then. Something that I did think about potentially. Could you guys see Detroit? I mean, could you see them going quarterback? I mean, I think Thibodeau probably will be the pick that they go with, but could you see them potentially going quarterback?
If they trade down.
Okay.
There is not
What?
a quarterback in this draft class who I see as being worth a top 5 pick.
Yeah, I agree.
You're pushing it if you say top 10, but I
Yeah.
do have one quarterback in my top 10,
Okay.
which is
One
very
mock,
good.
one mock draft I seen had them taking a quarterback with pick 32. I could
Okay.
see that. But yeah, I don't think they'll go with number 2. I don't think they'll take quarterback before 32. If they do, I think they'll trade
Sure.
back, like I've said. This would be the time where they could trade back.
Sure.
Because I think everybody else in the top's gonna draft. They might miss out on one cornerback if they trade back, but as long as they don't go back too far, I think they could still get a guy they wanted. But
Now here's what
I don't think they'll draft QB.
What if Seattle is convinced that Houston or the Giants or the Panthers or the Falcons want their quarterback, and so we end up seeing number 9 and number 2 flipped with DK Metcalf going to Detroit?
Because but if Seattle brings in a quarterback, I don't think they want to get rid of DK Metcalf. I think they're going to want to keep him there to give their young guy a little bit of something to throw to.
This draft is loaded with wide receivers. You can't replace DK, but if DK is upset,
we'll get to it. But I don't have Seattle taking a quarterback.
That's fair.
So moving on to the Texans, I think they are in a very similar situation as Detroit, where you could probably go just about any pick, and if it's the best player available, kudos for you, Houston. So I have them going offensive line. I have them going with Ikem Ekwonu from NC State, offensive tackle. From what I have heard, is that as far as tackles go in the draft, he's probably the best one out there. If that's true or not, I don't know, but it's kind of been a consensus among some of the articles and things that I have read about him, is that he's one of probably the highest touted tackle in the draft. So I have Houston going offensive line. I think they could go a number of picks and would probably be okay with it, but the first step to having a decent team is having a good offensive line. So I think they got to go O-line there. Nick, who do you have Houston taking at 3?
Well, thankfully we're different because it's not going to be like last year where our whole gosh darn top 10 was the same. But I do have offensive tackle, but I have Evan Neal. It's between him and Ekwonu, who's better.
Okay.
This might be biased, but I'm always going to take the Bama guy if it's close because they always seem to pan out. And Evan Neal, I mean, Ekwonu's been thrown around for number 1 pick, but I've heard Evan Neal for number 1 overall more than Ekwonu. I've heard better things about Neal. Don't take my word for it. I don't know which one's going to be better, but they're both going to be good. But I have them taking Evan Neal. It's really up to them who they want. I do think it's going to be offensive tackle, though. I'm pretty confident in that.
Caleb?
Yeah, I've got them taking Evan Neal too. Just because he is more of I think he's the best pure offensive tackle. Ekwonu could play either guard or tackle.
Okay, a little more versatility.
Yeah, and maybe that's not a bad thing in Houston where they need pretty much everything except for Laramie Tunsil. But I think if you compare Laramie Tunsil with, I believe he's like 6'6", 6'7", Evan Neal is.
Yeah, 6'7". Yep.
So you put those two big boys on either side of the line, and you're going to be able to protect Davis Mills, CJ Stroud.
Is that still their quarterback, Davis Mills?
Yep.
Oh, boy.
Bryce Young.
Boy.
Tanner Morgan season 2023.
Yeah. There's some optimism.
Yeah.
Okay, so Houston's getting their offensive lineman here. Number 4, the 4th overall pick here, we have the New York Jets. I I have them going corner. I think now it's a toss up between Derek Stingley from LSU or Sauce Gardner from Cincy. Who you want to go with there? Um, I went with Sauce Gardner from Cincy. Um, he's pretty dang good, obviously, if you're going that hard or that high to get him. Um, I like it. I think he hits a lot of those intangibles the Jets need. They need a solid lockdown corner, especially now in a division that has obviously Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen, my boy Tua, but you still got Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill. I mean Gesicki, Cedric Wilson. I know I'm naming Dolphins guys, but that is a
Caleb,
majority of
they need
receivers.
somebody to pick off too.
Are you going to throw a?
That's what he's saying.
Are you going to throw a corner on Mike Gesicki though?
Probably not, but Gesicki is as athletic to where you probably could. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't, but
Maybe.
anyways. But I have them going with Sauce Gardner here from the Jets. Caleb, what'd you have?
I also have him going Sauce Gardner. The guy never allowed a touchdown in college.
Wow.
And then you think, okay, he's going against Bama in the semifinal. He's probably going to get exposed by one of those 5-star Bama receivers. Nope, didn't give up a single yard in pass coverage.
Good for him. Wow. I did not realize that.
The tape shows it, and then he did an interview with Richard Sherman on Richard Sherman's podcast. And this dude has the confidence. He knows how good he is. Some might call it being cocky, but if you haven't allowed a touchdown in your college career,
go ahead.
I mean, is it sure? Is it really?
He averages like
back
under
it up?
20 yards a game against him or something like that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I was hoping you didn't mention that because I was going to mention that instead. I was going to say I've allowed as many touchdowns in college as Ahmad Gardner has. 0. Dude is an absolute savage. The dude's nickname is Sauce. I mean, Christ, he's going to be the best player in the draft without a doubt. Ahmad Gardner, number 4 pick, rookie of the year.
Rookie of the year.
No,
Okay.
honestly, probably not because he's a corner and it's hard to get. But I think Ahmad Gardner will probably be the best player in the draft.
Well, he's going to recreate Trayvon Diggs' 2021 season with all those interceptions.
Yeah, but Trayvon Diggs also allowed like 80 yards a game. But,
Yeah, but if you put up 14 interceptions as a rookie, I think you're getting rookie of the year.
That's fair. That's fair. 5th overall pick here, we have the Giants. I think it's a pretty safe bet that they should go offensive line here. That's personally where I would go if I was the Giants. It seems like their offensive line has been an issue for the last 35 years, but yet it somehow gets worse every single year. So with obviously Ekwonu getting taken, I have them going with Evan Neal. So that's who I have the Giants taking. I think they should go offensive line. Nick, go with you on this one. Who do you think the Giants will take here at 5?
I have them taking offensive line as well. So right now we got the same 5 positions and 5 picks, but we swapped our alignment. I have them taking Ekwonu. I mean, it's going to be Neal and Ekwonu the first 2. It's just which order. So yeah, I have them taking Ekwonu. I mean, they could go wide receiver, take the first one off the board. They could go cornerback. If Gardner's not there, if Gardner's not gone, I think they'd probably take Gardner. But you can never really go wrong with taking O-line. And I have them doing just that.
Caleb?
Yeah, I've also got them going pick number 5, Ekwonu, for the reasons I mentioned earlier.
Caleb and I are the same 5 picks right now.
Yup. But yeah, the Giants need both a guard and a tackle. So really, you can slot him in wherever you need him at the time. So if your guard is underperforming in the offseason, put Ekwonu at guard. If your tackle's underperforming in the offseason, which who knows, it could be both. And it's just, where is Ekwonu a better fit? But they can put him at either guard or tackle, and he should be just fine. Get Daniel Jones some protection for his contract year, and get ready to protect whoever they take next year, because I don't think Daniel Jones is the long-term answer.
Hey, he's the best running back, wide receiver, and quarterback.
Fair. It's fair. He's doing it all. He's doing it all. 6th overall pick, the Carolina Panthers. Caleb, we'll start with you on this one. Who you have the Panthers taking at 6?
Well, shoot, we're just going on an offensive tackle spree here. I think you got to protect Sam Darnold or whoever they take later in this draft or the next. I have them going with Charles Cross, the big offensive tackle out of Mississippi State.
Nick, who do you have?
Please not Charles Cross.
Did I have them do? I think I wrote this down wrong. No, I have Carolina taking a quarterback.
Okay.
I think I wrote this down wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know. I don't know what I was doing there. But yeah, I think Carolina takes quarterback. Which one do they take? No idea. I personally would take Malik Willis. I think he will be a stud. But I think they'll take Kenny Pickett out of Pitt.
I have the Panthers also going with Charles Cross. At a Mississippi State there. I think it'll be important to help that offensive line, whatever quarterback is back there. Also, I could see them drafting one. I also could see them trading for one. Apparently, there's been some links between Baker Mayfield and the Panthers. So that's a possibility. I have to keep an eye on that as the days get closer to the draft here. But I think quarterback could definitely be in the cards there maybe later on if they don't decide to trade for someone before the draft. And just because they don't trade for someone before doesn't mean they can't after, obviously. But I think if a trade were to happen, it'd be more likely that it would happen before the draft, so all those things can get figured out. But I have them going offensive line here.
I feel like second round, if they do go with Charles Cross, as I predict they will, second round, Sam Howell, keep him in Carolina blue.
Okay.
Because you can sit him behind Sam Darnold for the season if he's not ready. And then when Sam Darnold goes out to the Raleigh bars, making out with random chicks, gets mono, Sam Howell, local legend, steps right in.
Oh, seeing ghosts out there. Sam Darnold. 7th overall pick here. Once again, we have the Giants. They now have 2 picks and 3 spots here for them. They got offensive line here. Nick, I'll start with you. Who do you have the Giants taking at 7?
I have them taking the other side of the line with the big boy Trayvon Walker, the D lineman out of Georgia.
6'5", 272 beast. His position rank in some places, a lot of places I'm seeing is 1st overall.
I'd say he's the best. He's the best lineman. He might be the best lineman the way it is, but if you're not counting Ed, he's definitely the best lineman. I have them taking Walker.
Caleb, who do you have here?
Yeah, I also have them taking Trayvon Walker. He's the perfect fit for their 3-4 defensive line. Dude's a beast, and New York kind of needs some of those. Has their defensive line been good since they had Umenyora and Michael Strahan?
And Tuck.
Oh, they did have Tuck, yeah.
They pretty much won the Super Bowl because of that. And
yep.
They haven't been good since, really. I mean, they had JPP, and then he blew off his fingers.
Fair.
Don't play with fireworks, kids.
Well, I've got him another Super Bowl, so maybe do. I don't know. So I also have Trayvon Walker as well to the Giants. I think this guy will be an animal on the line. So I'll have to see if he can bust through and help that Giants defense. 8th overall pick here. Well, Caleb, we'll start with you on that one. Who do you have at 8?
I got a feeling this might be where we start to have different picks. I got them
going with Atlanta. Sorry, Atlanta. I forgot to say that. Atlanta at 8 here.
Yeah, I got the Falcons going with the game-changing wide receiver out of Ohio State, Garrett Wilson.
I'm going to say which one.
Yeah. I don't think that Mariota is the long-term answer, but I also don't think that they're going to address that at number 8. I could see them taking like a Malik Willis, but I think right there you can get Garrett Wilson, especially with Ridley out for personal reasons. And Julio Jones is no longer in the building. I don't have their depth chart pulled up, but I think Olamide is their number 1 wide receiver right now. Like, it's bad. So I think adding Garrett Wilson, maybe Mariota can finally find his groove, like Ryan Tannehill when he left Miami. We'll see.
We'll have to see. Nick, who do you have here for Atlanta at 8?
All right, this is probably unlikely, but this is more so what I think they should do. However, I am going to predict it. They did just get Marcus Mariota. I think they're going to try him out, but he's not going to be the answer. I think they should take Malik Willis. I'm not going to lie. I don't know if I even watched him play a game, but I do think he's going to be a stud. I really do. And I have him taking Malik Willis at 8. Kenny Pickett gone, although I don't think they'd take him anyways. I think they're going to – if I were them, I'd look for a game – I'd try to get a game-changing quarterback. Some people might not like the pick, but I think they should do it. There's plenty of times you can get wide receivers. I would get Malik Willis. If he falls in your lap, I'd take him. I think he's going to be really good. I really do. So I have them taking Malik Willis, quarterback, Liberty.
That is something that I tossed around. I tossed around potentially them going quarterback at 8, especially now too. But then you got to look at it with Calvin Ridley being gone. Okay, well, you bring in a new quarterback. You're not on Calvin Ridley for a whole year. You got Kyle Pitts. He's going to get his. Absolutely. No question about that. But if Kyle Pitts is getting doubled up, who's your next best option? Zacchaeus? I don't know.
Marcus Mariota's going to miss him anyways, so it's a matter.
Well, I think the difference is that Marcus Mariota at least has had experience to potentially be able to work through that. If you're bringing in a first-year quarterback and his only option is Kyle Pitts, and you might not even get him as many times as you want to in a game, you'd like to have, I think, a quarterback in there that could.
I'm just kidding.
But I'm with Caleb. I'm also going to go with Garrett Wilson as well, the receiver from Ohio State.
We'll have different picks.
Someday, but today is probably not that day.
I don't know if number 9 is either.
Yeah, so at 9 here, we have good old Seattle. I will start with Caleb on this one. Once again, who do you have Seattle taking at 9?
Well, I mean, I'd love to believe in Drew Lock. Actually, no, I wouldn't. He's kind of a D-bag. I got to go with Malik Willis here.
Drew Lock, I hope you're not watching. If so, that's not my opinion. That's Mr. Caleb. Take that up with Mr. Sipe. Drew Lock, thank you.
Drew Lock, catch me at Cowboy Jack's in Minneapolis sometime.
Dude, best burger I've ever had in my life, Cowboy Jack's.
You might want to get out more, buddy.
It's so good. Come on, man. Don't disrespect Cowboy Jack's. I might have to meet you at Cowboy Jack's now and take.
I'll take you and Drew Lock. Same time.
All right. All right.
So yeah, I got them taking Malik Willis, the quarterback from Liberty. I think he's got a phenomenal arm. Decision making, I wasn't too thrilled with it at times. There were some times where he threw more interceptions than I thought he should have. But I mean, at some point, you can teach decision making. You can't teach athleticism. And Malik Willis is a very good athlete. That's what he was when he was at Auburn. That's what he was at Liberty. And he's got a rocket for an arm.
So he's pretty much Russell Wilson.
I'd say a mix of Russell Wilson and Michael Vick off the discount shelf. I think he's got similar style. I don't think he's as good, but he's got a cannon of an arm, and I think that would fit in with Seattle, especially if they still have DK. If they don't, well, they still got Tyler Lockett. And if you ask our good friend Dan, they have Doug Baldwin.
Oh,
What was that,
man.
number 2 overall, something like that?
Yeah. Yeah. Nick Duckett here, number 9 overall pick, Seattle Seahawks. Who are they going with?
I just drained that, Lucas. Let's see. Do they need quarterback? Yes. Will they take quarterback? I don't think so. They're gonna wait. You know what Seattle loves doing? Drafting cornerbacks. That's what they'll do. Derek Stingley Jr. is a baller. He's an LSU D-back. They always pan out. Tyrann Mathieu, Patrick Peterson.
Mo Claiborne?
All right, fine. They mostly pan out. I have him taking Stingley Jr. out of LSU. I'm actually fairly confident about that if he's still left. I don't think they're going to draft a quarterback yet. I don't.
Yeah, I think quarterback is definitely the smart way that they should go. But I said that last year too about Cincinnati. I think the smart pick would have been Penny Sewell. They went Jamar Chase, and they went to the Super Bowl. So I guess I'll eat my shorts. But
yeah, but they didn't win because
like
he
to
couldn't
see that.
throw the ball.
But I agree. I agree. Yeah, Burrow had about 0.2 seconds to toss the ball, which is what I thought would happen, and that happened.
National record for sacks allowed in the Super Bowl.
Gotcha. So I'm also with Nick. I don't think they will go quarterback. I think it's smart if they did. I don't think they will. I actually have them going edge, and I have them going Jermaine Johnson out of Florida State.
Eden Prairie.
What's that?
He's from Eden Prairie, Minnesota.
Okay. Gotcha. I did not know that. Caleb, tell me a little bit about Jermaine Johnson.
Well, I think you got him a little overwritten on. Yeah, he's a very good edge rusher. If the Vikings can get him at number 12, I wouldn't be upset. I've got other ways I want us to go, but Jermaine Johnson did good things on a bad Florida State team. Although Florida State did start to pick up momentum towards the end of the season.
It's baffling how much they've fallen off.
Gotcha.
Good athlete, Minnesota ties. What more do you want?
Yeah, no, it's getting set up better myself.
There isn't many footballers from Minnesota, but he's a good one.
So we have now and folks, obviously Seattle was picking that high too. That was part of the Denver Broncos trade with Russell Wilson too. So that is why Seattle is picking at 9 there. The 10th overall pick here, the New York Jets, once again picking. They have the 4th overall pick, have the 10th overall pick. Nick, I'll start with you on this one. The first question that I ask before I have you give me your pick is, could you see this pick potentially getting traded for more draft capital since they had another pick earlier, or do you think they hold firm and stay here at 10?
One question. So Seattle's picking at 9 for Denver, right? So you said?
Yeah, that was the Russell Wilson trade, so they got 9.
Who gets their first round pick?
The Jets from Jamal Adams.
Yep.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
Okay. Which is this pick, right?
I would assume so.
Yes.
Yeah. Will they trade it? Potentially. I mean, there's going to be a trade in the top 10. You know there will be. I was going to predict one, but that's what I was looking at earlier. I think I kind of screwed that up. I had like the Cardinals trading up for Willis, but then I'm like, wait, they're trading with Carolina, who's also drafted a quarterback, so I just muted that. Anyways, could they trade down for more capital? Yes. Typically, when you're Jets or the Lions and you have a lot of needs, I advise it. But I don't think they will yet because there is not a wide receiver taken yet. And they get their choice. And I think they're going to take a wide receiver. And I have them taking – which one? I mean, there's a lot. Garrett Wilson's really good. There's a Chris Olave. There's a bunch of Ohio State guys. Jamison Williams. But I have them taking Drake and Josh London, cornerback or wide receiver, USC.
Oh man, Drake and Josh London. He says, nice,
Top 2
nice.
of all time.
Caleb, who do you have the Jets taking at 10 here?
Well, I messed up. So I had them. So I had them taking Sauce Gardner at number 4, and then I did this mock while I was at work. So I also had them taking Trent McDuffie, the corner from Washington, at number.
Hey, go for it. Double down.
I don't
We'll
think they
give you
will.
a pass. So let's say cross that one out. Now looking at it, if you can, who would you give him at 10?
I've already got it swapped out in my head. I'm going to have them take Jermaine Johnson, the edge rusher from Florida State here.
Did you just say Lucas had him going too high at like 9?
Yes, but so I had him going a few more picks later, but I had to call an audible here.
Omaha.
The card was fumbled. Yeah, I'll take Jermaine Johnson for the Jets there. Getting 2 defensive players in the top 10. That'll help for a Robert Saleh defense that was supposed to be their strength, but it wasn't this past year. Let him get some players in there. Let's see what he can do. Let's see why he got this job after being such a good defensive coordinator with the 49ers. Or was it just the personnel that he had there? We'll find out now that he's got 2 top 10 picks on defense.
Stay tuned, folks. Stay tuned. I'll give you that answer there. I have the Jets going wide receiver here, actually. Now, maybe a little bit of a head scratcher pick, potentially, but I have them going with Jamison Williams out of Alabama. Yes, I'm aware towards ACL in a national championship game. I'm aware of that. But from what I have been reading, obviously, he will not be ready for the start of the season. But apparently, the Jets do run a lot of RPO type of offense, and Jamison Williams, as one of his strong suits, that was one of the Alabama's main offensive strategies was RPO, and he thrived in that. Now, yes, obviously it sucks towards ACL in the national championship game, but very athletic guy, 6'2", 179. He can stretch the defense big time. So I think whenever he is ready, I think this is going to be a good pick for the Jets. I think, obviously, they had Elijah Moore, who really thrived towards the end of the season last year for the Jets. Obviously, they tried to get Tyreek Hill, couldn't get him. Still in the DK Metcalf potential
Debo.
lottery. I don't know if they'll get him. Debo, potentially. I don't know if they'll get him. So I think you give Zach Wilson another weapon. Whenever Jamison Williams is healthy to play, I think you play him. And then hopefully that helps Zach Wilson out a little bit on the offensive side of things. So I have Jets going Jamison Williams there from Alabama. So moving on to the 11th overall pick here, we have the Washington Commanders. Now, I had to think about that for a second. They're no longer the football team.
Don't say the R word.
Yeah, the Washington Commanders now at pick number 11. I have them probably going a best player available route. Now, I could see them going quarterback here. I could see them going to quarterback because, no disrespect to Taylor Heineke. The man's an absolute dog and did a lot this last year in the last 2 years for Washington. My boy Fitzmagic, we'll have to see what happens there. But I do think they probably should upgrade at quarterback.
Did you forget about Carson Wentz?
That's right. I totally forgot that trade happened.
Oh, audible.
I was not going quarterback anyways. I was going to say I could see them going later, but I forgot that they traded for Carson Wentz. Caleb, see, this is why we have you on here to help me out when I mess up.
I'm the only one who knows what I'm doing on this podcast.
Yeah. Caleb, thank you for reminding me that. They have Carson Wentz, so they will not need to get a quarterback. I did not have them.
Once Carson Wentz plays like 8 games for them, they'll realize they do.
Well, that's why you take Carson Strong in the third round
for another day.
But so Washington Commanders here. I have them going defense, and I have them going with Derek Stingley out of LSU here at corner. Obviously, I think Sauce Gardner, I think in all of our opinion, is probably the best corner in this draft. How much of a gap between him and Derek Stingley? I don't know, but I think Stingley's a pretty, yeah, it's not big. It's not a big gap, but I do think Stingley is without a doubt the second best if you want to put Sauce first. So I have Washington going with Derek Stingley here. At the corner position, Caleb, who do you have Washington going with?
I also have them addressing the defensive backfield, but not at the corner position. I think it's absolutely outrageous that Kyle Hamilton will be likely to fall this far. He could still go top 5. I debated putting him in my top 5, but for some reason, every mock I've seen has had him sliding, and I think that stops with the Commanders. Like you said, they need best player available, and I think Kyle Hamilton is the best player available. You pair him with Cameron Curl, and that is going to be a good duo.
Nick, who do you have Washington going with at 11 here?
I'm not very confident about this pick, but because I think they could go anywhere. But I actually have them taking wide receiver. They got Scary Terry, and I think they need to give him some help before he leaves. Isn't he one of the 3 wide receivers, him, Brown, and Debo, who are either asking for a trade or pretty much holding out for more money? So I have them going wide receiver to get him some help. And I had Drake London going last pick, so I will take who most people probably think is the best wide receiver in the draft left or overall, Garrett Wilson out of Ohio State.
I gotcha. So now moving on to pick number 12. This is a pick that I'm sure both of you guys are now waiting for. So Caleb, once again, you are the guest. So with the Minnesota Vikings on the clock at 12 here, who do you have the Vikes taken at pick number 12?
Let's keep my boy Derek Stingley Jr. in some purple.
Okay.
He will. I could see him going in the top 5, top 10, but his lack of production in the past couple of years is a little concerning. But if you look at it, it was COVID, and then I know you want a guy who's going to be committed to your team, even when things aren't going well. But oh my, things were not going well for LSU. They basically fired their coach, but kept him around. So how much motivation is there as a player when you know, well, my coach is fired, so why does he care? We're not going to be bowl eligible, so why should I care? And I think the other thing, too, that would make this the perfect fit for Minnesota, aside from him just being a phenomenal athlete, Durante Jones, the Vikings defensive backs coach, was the defensive coordinator for LSU this past year. He was the defensive backs coach for us previously, and then he left to take the defensive coordinator position with Coach O. When Coach O got fired, then he came back here to be our defensive backs coach again. So I think you pair him with a coach that he's familiar with, and that'll help him transition as a pro. Plus, you have another pretty decent LSU corner to mentor him in Patrick Peterson. So everything is set up here in Minnesota for Derek Stingley to succeed at the Viking. We really just have to hope that his lack of production causes him to fall to us.
Nick, who do you have the Vikes going with at 12?
I'm hoping somehow, some way, Sauce Gardner falls this low. I don't think there's any chance he does, but that's my hope. Otherwise, I don't really want cornerback. I would love Stingley, but it's just the Vikings need cornerback. They really do. They always do. But for some reason, they're terrible at drafting them. And I know it's a new regime, but I just don't trust them drafting cornerback anymore. Xavier Rhodes is the last one they hit on. And
did we really hit on him?
Yes, we did. He was the best cornerback in the league for 2 years. He was good for a while. It's hard nowadays to be good as a cornerback for a while. It is. I will fight anybody for it. We hit on him.
He was up.
Anyways.
But yes, his eyes were very high.
I don't think they're going to do this. I'll get to my pick in a moment. I don't think they're going to do this. Most people disagree with me. But I've seen a couple of people suggest it, and I'm thinking, why not? Jamar Chase, that pick last year, I'm like, why are you not taking Sewell? And they take Chase. The only thing the Bengals had was wide receivers, and they took Chase, and Burrow, and they made a Super Bowl. Do the Vikings need wide receiver? No. But when Thielen leaves, they'll probably will. But why not go out and take a wide receiver and just try to outscore everybody? If they could get Chris Olave or Wilson or somebody here to pair him with Jay Jettas, Thielen, KJ Osborne, a healthy Irv Smith, this team could be scary offensively. With that being said, I don't think they do that. I think they take probably our biggest need, defensive tackle, Jordan Davis out of Georgia. Is he worthy of a 12th overall pick? Probably not quite. I see him projected more so in like the 20s. But if they don't get him now, they're not going to get him. They could potentially trade back. If it were crazy Rick Spielman, he probably would. By the way, I like Rick Spielman, just so everybody knows. But yeah, I think they go out and take Jordan Davis, who's a very, very good D tackle, and a part of that incredible D line Georgia had with him and Trayvon Walker.
So Nick, I have thought about that, the wide receiver route for the Vikings. I think that would be, I don't know if a lot of people would predict that, but would I be shocked if that happened? I don't know. Maybe a little, but not too much. But I did not go wide receiver. I have the Vikings going with, just for the simple fact that I think with the players that I have picked already, I think he's probably the best available, and that's Kyle Hamilton, safety out of Notre Dame. I think that's for me, like I said, the players that I have picked, I think that's the route that the Vikings would go if it does happen to go that way. Obviously, Caleb mentioned it. I mean, this guy, it's a crime. I have him going at 12. Caleb, I think you had him going at 11. I mean, this guy, probably most other drafts, is going significantly higher than that. And it's hard to say, are you getting disrespected at 11, 12 overall? Well, I don't know, maybe a little, but like people in front of him, I don't think it's so much that teams wouldn't want to draft him. I think it's just more the teams that will make the picks that they do will be more like specifically they need help in that positional area.
Oh my gosh, hold on here, dude. Sorry to interrupt. I got the Twins on in the background, and they've scored one run in the last 18 innings. Well, Craig just hit one in the hole. Tim Anderson threw it away, and then they threw it to third, and they threw that away. They're snowball fighting right now, and the White Sox just gave us the lead. So sorry for that interruption, but it's funny. They're having a snowball fight out here.
I did see also that Kaprizov did take the single season assist record from Zuccarello for the.
Suck that, Abs.
We will see what happens because there's still one more game left, so Zuccarello still could reclaim the.
They play the Avs
record.
Play the Avs like next week.
They beat the Avs next week. You heard it here first.
See. Well, after that quick commercial break here, we'll get back onto our NFL draft talk.
Oh man. I'm going off topic.
But anyways, like when I was talking about Hamilton before, I think that if this was a draft to where all the people in front of him, the teams in front of him just could go best available, then he probably would be going a lot higher. But I think it's the fact that the teams need help in the position that they probably will be drafting, so why he'll be dropping that far. So that was 12.
There was a safety that happened to last year too, right? He was really good at just a lot of times a team just doesn't look for safety that early, and there's just other guys they needed more. I can't remember who it was, but I'm pretty sure there's a safety last year that was darn near the best player in the draft rating, but he didn't go until like 10th. Am I wrong? Caleb, you probably know.
I'm blanking right now.
I'm gonna look it up.
Damn, who were the safeties last year? Well, like Antoine Winfield Jr.
That was 2 years ago.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying that, like, he was another one of those, like, super talented safeties that was potentially a top 10 player in that draft. Maybe not he's a top 15 player in that draft, but he fell to, I believe, early second round just because safety is becoming undervalued.
Mm-hmm.
Very. I agree with that 100%. While Nick looks that up, we'll move on to the next pick. The Texans have the 13th overall pick, as well as the third overall pick here. I'm going to start with this one. I have them going with Jordan Davis, a defensive lineman out of Georgia. Get a big boy to try and clog things up. The guy is very strong, but for as big as he is, very athletic too. You would not expect it. But I think that's a great pick for the Texans if they're able to get him at 13. Caleb, who'd you have?
Well, originally I had them taking Jermaine Johnson the second here from Florida State, but the easiest way to rearrange my draft after I saw that I had the Jets taking 2 corners was to just flip these picks. So after taking Evan Neal at number 3, I have them addressing the secondary and taking Trent McDuffie, the cornerback from Washington. Lockdown corner that really you can't go wrong with anything. If you're Houston, you can pick best player available, even if you double down at a position. As long as it's not running back, you're good.
Sure. Nick, who did you have Houston at 13 taken?
Well, we talked about him a lot. I have Kyle Hamilton left still, and I have him going to Houston. He should be a very quality player. Houston needs a lot, and this is probably best available at this point. And it's a need of theirs. And so, yeah, Kyle Hamilton.
Moving on to pick number 14, the Baltimore Ravens here. Nick, we'll start with you. Who do you have the Ravens taken?
Well, Baltimore has a need at interior offensive linemen, and I have them addressing it. They could maybe go wide receiver again. There's a couple ways they could go, but I think they're going to fill their hole at interior offensive lineman, and that guy is Tyler Linderbaum, offensive lineman, Iowa. Might be a little high, but Iowa linemen have shown to pan out. They need that position, and I think they're going to pull the trigger on them.
Caleb, again, a little not sure on that one. What do you think about that? Well, first off, who do you have at 14, and then tell us what your thoughts are on that.
So I did look at their offensive line, and their center actually, I forget, is something Castillo. He actually graded I want to say super high 60s or low 70s on PFF, which isn't the end all be all. It's like Madden ratings. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's absolute garbage. But I don't know if they need a center, and especially not there at 14. I could see Linderbaum going somewhere around there. But I have the Ravens going with, and I tossed this one around a little bit. Eventually, I thought about Devin Lloyd, the linebacker from Utah. But ultimately, I have him going with Nakobe Dean, the linebacker out of Georgia, pairing him with Patrick Queen there in the middle. And that's going to be a fun defense. Their secondary is already one of the best secondaries. And if you have Patrick Queen and Nakobe Dean in the middle, good luck scoring. This is going to be, I don't want to blaspheme a little bit, but this is like a mid-2000s Ravens defense with not the same players, but, when they had those guys like Ed Reed and Ray Lewis and Haloti Ngata, that was Terrell Suggs. It's a different type of defense, but this could be almost as, I'm not going to say it could be good for them like that defense was. I'll stop there before someone accuses me of blasphemy.
I have the Baltimore Ravens going with George Karlaftis. I don't know if I said that name right. I probably just butchered the heck out of it. Yes, thank you very much, Caleb. Out of Purdue, the edge rusher out of Purdue. What's that?
Boiler up.
Boiler up. That's good old Purdue. Apparently, I saw a stat where he was one of the best edge rushers in the country at consistently defeating blockers without needing help from stunts or blitzes.
Yeah, he
And
did that plenty against
2021,
Stanford.
he had the highest rate at 27%. That was the best in the nation, with stunts and blitzes removed. Next, after him, projected number one overall pick, Aiden Hutchinson at 25%, and potential top three, probably top two overall pick, Kayvon Thibodeau at 24%. So I think this guy, obviously, it shows here, does not need a lot of disguises, a lot of helps to beat his guy. It just shows he can straight up beat his guy. Obviously, not to say he wouldn't like some of that help every once in a while, but I think to show that, hey, you're not going to be able to get that help all the time. Can you beat your guy? And it's shown that he can. So I like that pick for the Ravens.
I'll save my take on Karlaftis for when I have him picked.
Oh, a good take or a bad take?
Oh, it's a good one.
Well,
Okay,
Big Ten edge rushers typically do very, very good at the next level.
So
Rashawn
15.
I said, well, he's good.
Yeah, I was agreeing with you.
Oh, yeah. All right. All right. Good.
15th overall pick,
Closest.
we have the Philadelphia Eagles. Nick, start with you on this one. Who do you have the Eagles taking at 15?
Well, if they don't take wide receiver, they're stupid. But it is the Eagles, so they might not. But
Jalen Rieger.
they could have had Jay Jettas.
Poverty franchise, Philadelphia.
I just want to laugh about that for a little longer because I can't stand the Eagles. But anyways, I do have them taking wide receiver. One of what seems like the 15th Alabama wide receiver taken in the first round in the last 3 years, Jamison Williams. Like you mentioned, he hurt himself in the national championship game, but that shouldn't affect you from drafting him. And I have him going at 15th.
Caleb, who do you have?
I'll say that I think it's probably like the 7th or 8th, probably like the 7th in 3 years.
Right? I mean, Ridley, Judy, Ruggs,
Yep.
Smith,
Yep.
Waddle.
Yep.
That's 5 right there.
And so then if you have 2 taken this year,
Yeah.
that's got to be some sort of record.
Oh, you'd think. I mean, that's ridiculous. Plus, they had a tight end taken in like the 2nd or 3rd round too, but I could be wrong.
Caleb, who do you got the Eagles here at 15?
Yeah, I got them going wide receiver with Chris Olave. I think get a game changer.
Maybe a solid.
I do like the idea of pairing Jalen Hurts with Jamison Williams.
That's what I was thinking. They already have Devontae Smith.
Yeah. But I think Chris Olave, he's healthy. He's ready to contribute right away. And with the way that the NFC East will play out, I don't think they can afford to wait for Jamison Williams to be ready. I think they need someone who's going to be ready from day one because it's going to be neck and neck with, I mean, really, I couldn't tell you which of those teams is going to win the NFC East.
You never know.
It won't be the Giants. I can tell you that. But if Carson Wentz can get back to his MVP
Washington
form,
Commanders have never not won.
correct. Washington Commanders are undefeated.
True.
But that's going to change when
that's where we pay Caleb the big bucks to come on this podcast.
What was that?
So that's why we pay Caleb the big bucks to come on this podcast to give us that information.
Gardner Minshew is going to have a fun time with Chris Olave and Devonta Smith. In practice.
Gardner Minshew.
In practice.
Yeah, okay. So 15, I have the Eagles also going Chris Olave out of Ohio State. This guy's an absolute baller. I think probably one of the better, just maybe as far as NFL ready goes. I mean, I think, Garrett Wilson is definitely the best receiver in this class, but I think, this guy does a lot for his team. And I think, with Smith playing well last year in the games that he did, having another guy to throw to could be good. So I'm going with Chris Olave here for the Eagles. That would be the smart pick.
It's ridiculous. Olave at the college level might have been the best receiver. And and then they still have Wilson, didn't he have 400 yards in the Rose Bowl or something like that?
I think you're thinking of Jackson Smith and Jigba, who led the Big Ten in receiving yardage.
Oh, yes, I am.
And he was only a sophomore, so we still got another year of seeing him.
And they got him too. It's like, my goodness, Ohio State and Bama both with the wide receiver.
Oh, plus they got Marvin Harrison's son.
So. You're right. I totally forgot. Yeah, that wasn't Wilson who did that.
Hopefully he's not involved in the gangs.
I guess I don't know what I'm talking about either, boys. Darn.
Well, moving on to pick 16 here. We have the Who Dat New Orleans Saints. Who Dat them gonna be the Saints? I have Saints. I think. See, now this is interesting because I could see the Saints going a couple different routes on this. Obviously, Jameis Winston with tearing his ACL. How long will he be out for in this? I don't know. Seems like ACL recoveries depends on the person and who you are, how fast you come back from them. So I don't know if they would go quarterback. I toyed with the idea of potentially, give him another wide receiver. Who knows what Michael Thomas is going to want to do? Will he even be a New Orleans Saint after this year? I don't know. But I didn't. I went with offensive line. I happened going with Trevor Penning out of Northern Iowa. I think whatever quarterback is back there, I think it would be nice to have some stability of, even though they can run around a little bit, to know that you don't have to if you have a solid offensive lineman there in Trevor Penning that can help you out with that. So I have them going with Penning at Iowa State. Nick, who do you have the Saints going with at 16?
No, I think it should be noted. Philly has 15, New Orleans has 16. Philly also has 18, and New Orleans has 19. So they both have two. They have 4 of the next 5 picks here. So that there could be some trades going on here. It could.
Yeah.
I'd say there's a decent chance, although they already traded with each other. That's why New Orleans is here. Philly originally had 3 picks and 5 picks or something like that. Anyways, so considering they pick now and then they pick 3 picks later, they're probably going to be looking at 2 positions. Well, whichever one they think might go to, the Chargers or Philly is who they're going to take first. And I think it's more likely that they would take an O-lineman. So I have New Orleans grabbing an O-lineman first. I still have Charles Cross out of Mississippi State left. I believe he's probably the best one left now. And so, yeah.
Probably the best one left at number 8.
Huh?
He's probably been the best one left for 10 picks now.
Oh, yeah. I haven't had him gone for a while, though. I had Leonard. He's probably better than Linderbaum. It's just Linderbaum's interior. And I personally think Baltimore's going to address that. But, yeah, Charles Cross probably there's a good chance he gets taken before 16, but I still have him left. And, so, yeah, I think New Orleans would be foolish not to take him here.
Caleb?
Yeah, we all got him going offensive tackle. We all just got different offensive tackles. I got him going with Bernard Raymond from Central Michigan.
Okay.
He did play some
big, heavy.
some lower levels of competition than some of the other offensive tackles in this draft.
I did Lucas, this guy went to Northern Iowa. So.
Well, Northern Iowa also produced Spencer Brown last year, who was very solid for the Buffalo Bills. I did debate Penning. Spoiler alert, Penning is not going in the first round of my mock. He did slide right out of the first round.
Same here.
I do think he'll go within the first 5 of the second round.
Okay.
But yeah, I got a big brain, man.
So now at pick 17 here, we have the Chargers. So I will have, let's see, whose turn is it to go first now? I'll let Caleb go here on 17. Chargers, who do you have the Chargers taking at 17?
Well, seeing as they have absolutely no pass rush, since they only have bums named Khalil Mack and whichever Bosa brother they have. I have them taking Zion Johnson, offensive guard from Boston College. They don't have too many holes left. I could see them going wide receiver potentially, but the talent pool, the top names are already off the board for me. I could see them maybe going with like Drake London, who I still have available. But I think you address the interior of the offensive line and then take a wide receiver with your next pick. So yeah, you got to protect Herbert. Their defense, I might not even look at drafting a defensive player if I'm the Chargers until maybe third round at the earliest. You can wait till day 3. Their offense just needs a couple more pieces, and that AFC West, if any team's going to send all 4 teams to the playoff with the expanded format, I could see the AFC West.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I agree 100%. Nick, I'll let you go with the Chargers at 17 here. Who do you have the Chargers going with?
I could reiterate everything Caleb said. I mean, yeah, the one year that I think they traded up and took 2 defenders in the first round, 2 or 3 years ago, I believe. Now they don't really need defense right now. I mean, and they got a good offensive roster too. Obviously, the Chargers have a great roster every year, it seems. So who do they go with? They could go wide receiver. Some people think they will. I mean, you got Keenan Allen and Mike Williams though, so I personally wouldn't. So I would go O lineman. And Zion Johnson, I believe, would be the best fit for them here.
2.
O-line, huh?
2 for 2.
Yep. O-lineman out of Boston College.
So Chargers at 17 for myself. Wide receiver was a position that I thought about potentially for them as well, like Caleb had talked about. But at the end of the day, I went with offensive line, and spoiler alert, I also went with Zion Johnson.
Right. It'll be interesting to see if we get this pick right.
So we'll have to see. Yeah, exactly. If we get that one right.
Quarterback.
What's that?
Watch them go quarterback.
Yeah, with Herbert.
Yeah, some scandal with Justin Herbert. They have to go quarterback now. So
the California grass.
That probably a couple days ago, that was a common topic amongst a lot of people. Moving on now to pick.
Something?
Yes, you did, but we'll talk about it after the podcast. Pick number 18 here, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. Once again, I'm going to start us off here just for the simple fact that he has not been picked yet. I'm going with Trent McDuffie out of Washington. At 18, probably a little lower than he probably will get picked. But I think if he is still there at 18, I think Philly definitely goes out and gets him. You know, they got the receiver at 15. Assuming they don't trade this pick, I have them going with Trent McDuffie at 18. Caleb, we'll go with you here. Who do you have at 19? Or sorry, 18?
Yeah, I've also got them going corner. But since I have Trent McDuffie going a little earlier, I'm going with a guy that you're probably more familiar with than anyone else on this podcast, Kaiir Elam from your Florida Gators. I think they definitely need a corner to pair with Darius Slay. Why not get Kaiir Elam? He's probably, I mean, you could go with Booth from Clemson, or even like Kyler Gordon from Washington, or Roger McCreary from Auburn. But ultimately, I think Kaiir Elam is who I felt the most confident with here. I think he and Darius Slay would make for a good pairing in a, like I mentioned, 3 picks ago, a very tough NFC East.
Nick, who do you have at 18 here for Philly with their second first-round pick?
I have them taking cornerback as well, and I do have them taking Andrew Booth Jr. out of Clemson. Nice. So, just like last pick, it'll be interesting to see if we all get it right. It'll be interesting to see what cornerback they do take here, if they do take cornerback, and which one of us will be right. Now it'll probably be some other cornerback. That would be funny.
Oh, now they'll probably take corner at 15 and wide receiver at
right,
18.
right.
So yeah, you got to have two corners like Slay and whoever when you're facing elite quarterbacks like Daniel Jones twice a year.
Took the words right out of my mouth. Right out of my mouth.
Danny Dimes.
Danny Dimes, pick number 19, New Orleans Saints again here with their second first-round pick. Nick, we'll start with you on this one. Who do you have the Saints taking at 19?
They're going to need a wide receiver. All they really got that I like is Michael Thomas. And, you don't really know with him. I mean, he didn't play last year.
Lamp boy.
Doesn't Jordan would like you for that. He doesn't really seem to even like being in New Orleans, especially now, Breeze isn't even there, but they still have him. But with that being said, they have a need there. And I know they didn't play with each other at Ohio State, obviously, but I have them pairing up Ohio State wide receiver with him in Chris Olave. Like I said, he might have been like the best wide receiver in college. I mean, he was probably the number one wide receiver recruit starting the year last year. He's been a stud his whole career there. He was kind of a touchdown machine, right? Or am I mixing up Ohio State wide receivers again?
I think all three of them were touchdown machines.
Yeah, I mean, right. But Olave's a very, very solid guy. I think he'd match well with Michael Thomas. And I'm hoping Jameis Winston comes back healthy this year and balls out. I think he's got the potential. You just got to limit those interceptions. But I do think they're going to take wide receiver with one of their picks. And Olave, I think, is going to be the guy.
So I also have the Saints going wide receiver at 19 here. I will preface by saying this. If the Eagles are dumb at 15 and don't go Chris Olave or just a receiver in general, I could see the Saints, assuming Olave hasn't been picked before then, which I don't think he will, I could see the Saints going Olave at 16 instead. But if the Eagles do the smart thing, if Olave is still on the board at that point, I would hope that they would go 15. You never know if teams are going to be smart or not, but I have them going with at 19 now wide receiver Drake London out of USC, not LSU. I have them going with London here at 19. Nick, I agree 100%. I think wide receiver definitely is another position that they could need help with, especially like you said before, like I kind of mentioned before too, with Michael Thomas. Is he going to be a New Orleans Saint by the time the season starts? I don't know. So whatever quarterback's back there, you would like to have someone else to throw to. So Drake London, I think, will be the guy at 19 if he is still there. Caleb, who do you have the Saints taking at 19?
I have to agree with you there. I got him taking Drake London, the wide receiver from USC. I wish Jameis Winston hadn't got his LASIK surgery, because then I could make a joke about maybe he'll be able to see a 6'5" wide receiver in the red zone. But he has LASIK, so they could get Dree Archer, who was like 5'4", and he'd be able to see Dree Archer now. So I should hope he can see Drake London standing there in the end zone, all 6'5" of him. And I think, Drake London, great pick there. I mean, Saints can't go wrong by taking Drake London there.
Is there any chance they take quarterback?
Yes, I could see. I did debate putting Matt Corral there. But I think Matt Corral, in a lot of earlier mocks, I did have Matt Corral going there. But I think now they could trade back into the end of the first round and get Matt Corral, or I don't remember if they have a second round pick or not. But Matt Corral could be available.
I would doubt it. I think they traded it to Philly.
Probably.
Lucas, do you have a quarterback taken yet?
Well, not yet, but hold your horses, folks. We're getting there.
Same.
We're getting there. Good time. Well, I'll just start us off here. With the 20th overall pick, Pittsburgh Steelers, I have them going quarterback. And since I have yet to pick a quarterback, I think the big question is, and Caleb kind of mentioned that.
Guy?
What's that?
They're gonna take the college kid.
Kenny Pickett. I do not have them going Kenny Pickett. We kind of talked about this at the beginning of the podcast. Is that as far as quarterbacks go, I think everyone probably has their preferences of who they think is the best one. Now, whichever one is the right one, I don't know. I don't know if there's a for sure clear cut. This guy is the best quarterback in the class.
Check back in 10 years.
What's that?
Check back in 10 years.
That's right. That's right. But I have Pittsburgh going with Malik Willis out of Liberty at quarterback. For a while there, I thought, Kenny Pickett played in Pittsburgh, bring him home. Keep him in Pittsburgh here. I don't think they'll go that route. I think they will end up going with Malik Willis out of Liberty. The guy absolutely killed it in this combine. Not that he needed the combine to show that he can kill it, but if you had any doubts about this guy going into that combine, you shouldn't. So I think Pittsburgh goes quarterback for sure. Malik Willis, I think, will be the guy that they go with at 20.
I think he'd be a great fit for Pittsburgh.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Caleb, we'll go with you at 20. Who do you have Pittsburgh going with?
So I also have them going with quarterback, but I already had Malik Willis go number 9 to Seattle. Pittsburgh is in a situation where they have everything else they need to succeed. And so I could see them just rolling with Mitch Trubisky because they could make the playoffs with Mitch Trubisky. However, it's still Mitch Trubisky. So I have them taking the most pro-ready quarterback in this draft right now. His ceiling is not as high as like a Matt Corral or a Malik Willis, but Kenny Pickett is, I don't know if any of these quarterbacks this year are ready to start from day one, but if anyone is, I think it is Kenny Pickett. He's got the experience. I believe he was at Pitt for 5 years. Yeah, I think that's right. And he was like a 4-year starter. And he got better every year and then finally broke out this past year. He does have a lower ceiling, but I think his floor is, I don't know, Daniel Jones on a good day. Okay. So I think keep Kenny Pickett in Pittsburgh.
Nick, who do you have Pittsburgh taking at 20?
Well, I would have him taking quarterback if I did not have Pickett and Willis gone. I think they definitely would. That's why I think they should honestly look at trading up if they really want a quarterback, which I do think they should take. However, to Caleb's point, I do think they could make the playoffs with Trubisky. I really do. And they might wait a year to see what happens, which I wouldn't mind. That being said, I don't think Pittsburgh in their history trades up very often. Not that they really needed to. They're always good.
This also really isn't the draft to trade up for a quarterback, I don't think.
I know. And that's why I definitely don't think they will. I have 2 quarterbacks being gone at this point. I don't think most people do, though. So if they really want one of the 2, maybe trade up, even though you probably don't need to. But with that being said, I have them taking safety out of Michigan, Daxton Hill.
Okay. Daxton Hill. So I guess I'll just do a spoiler here. At 21 here, I have the New England Patriots taking him. Now, it was interesting to me because I did not, in this mock draft, I didn't do trades. I think trades will happen. Let me say that. I do think there will be some trades. The Patriots are a team that, now, yeah, you can make the argument. Obviously, I think Mac Jones probably needs a little more help, but they did trade for Devontae Parker, who I'm very familiar with. I could potentially maybe see them trying to trade up to like a 15 to maybe try and hope that Chris Olave and Drake London haven't gotten picked yet. I don't know if they would trade all the way up into the top 10 to get a better wide receiver, but I could see them potentially trading up. But for this draft, I didn't have them doing that. I had them going with Daxton Hill from Michigan as well, too. Obviously, losing J.C. Jackson is going to be a big hit for their secondary. So I have them going with Hill.
He go to the Chargers too. Where he?
J.C. Jackson, yep, went to the Chargers.
Oh,
Yep.
man, that team had an off season.
But Nick, who do you have the Pats taking at 21?
Well, as you mentioned, they lost J.C. Jackson. They don't have Stephon Gilmore, Player of the Year, Defense Player of the Year 2 years ago, I believe. They don't have him anymore. Granted, they didn't last year. So I think they're going to address cornerback. If Daxton Hill still left, they might go Hill. But I have Trent McDuffie out of Washington going here. I think that would be a very solid pick at 21. As Caleb mentioned before he realized he had 2 cornerbacks going to the same team, he had McDuffie at 10, I believe, or 9 or 10. He's worthy of it. And I think, and if I were McDuffie, I'd be stoked to go play for that Belichick defense. And yeah, that's what I got.
Caleb, who do you have the Pats taking at 21?
Yeah, there's only one thing that Bill Belichick might like more than cheating, and that's a good defense. So I'm taking Devin Lloyd, linebacker out of Utah.
But will it be Belichick drafting or Belichick's dog?
Hopefully the dog, because the dog has a less punchable face.
I agree.
Not gonna lie, I loved that draft when it was like everything from home, and like I don't know, I thought that made it all really sweet. Anyways,
so yeah, I got to take Devin Lloyd. He's a great athlete at linebacker. Production, I mean the numbers aren't there stat wise, but the tape shows that he is definitely a guy that you want on your defense. So Devin Lloyd from Utah to the Patriots.
Moving on to the 22nd overall pick, the Green Bay Packers. Now the Packers, I 1,000% could see them trading into the top 10 to try and get a wide receiver. I mean,
can they though?
If not top 5, I don't know if they go all the way to top 5, but 100% I can definitely see them going top 10. To go wide receiver. Now, if we're going off of my people that have already been picked, Treylon Burks is the next best guy available at Arkansas, wide receiver from Arkansas, with all the other guys that I have taken before him. Like I said, I didn't do trades. I think Green Bay will trade up to try and get someone potentially better, but I have them going with Burks at 22. Caleb, who do you have?
Only a fool would have them taking Treylon Burks right there at 22. Everybody knows that when you need a wide receiver to make it to the Super Bowl, when you can have a T. Higgins, what you do is you look at the Mountain West and you see, is there a project quarterback that I can love? I have at number 22, Carson Strong from Nevada going to the Green Bay Packers.
Oh my God.
No, I'm just kidding. I got them taking Treylon Burks too. He's the best wide receiver left.
You should have just legit left it at that.
Caleb, you had me.
They're going to trade up to get him.
Caleb, you had me.
I could see like
I thought this man's about to end my entire career with my Treylon Burks pick.
Oh, that would be gold. That would be gold.
I could see them trying to trade up. You had mentioned trying to trade up into like the top 10. Carolina had expressed interest in Jordan Love. So what if you pair Jordan Love and one of those 2 first-round picks and probably another pick or 2 to move up to number 6, give Carolina a little bit extra draft capital and Jordan Love? I could see something like that happening. Because Jordan Love is essentially useless now that Aaron Rodgers has extended his contract.
Right.
Sorry, who did you have them taking? I missed it as I was laughing hysterically.
Oh, same as Lucas. I have Treylon Burks, best wide receiver left.
I was going to say, because in that case, call me a fool too, because I haven't taken Treylon Burks too. If they don't take wide receiver, they've officially lost it. And if they do, they'll probably take the worst, the one who ends up being the worst one, because it's Green Bay. The only thing they can do is draft a quarterback 2 times that get lucky in the last 2 decades. It's ridiculous. Anyways, yeah. Treylon Burks, wide receiver, Arkansas.
Okay, well, we'll see if he we're all in agreement on that one. We'll see if he ends up going to Green Bay. 23rd overall pick, the Arizona Cardinals. A little bit of uncertainty about the Kyler Murray situation. I think he will be with the Cardinals, but crazier things have happened, that's for sure. So Nick, I'll start with you on this one. Who do you have the Cardinals taking the 23?
I believe they will go defense. I'm not worried at all about Kyler. He'll be there. He could maybe use a little more help. But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, they don't have Chandler Jones anymore, right?
Correct. He's with the Raiders.
Yeah. God, that AFC West had a heck of an offseason. So I think they're going to
watch them get Debo somehow.
It's going to be really interesting to see where he goes, man. It's going to be really interesting. Some people
it might be the AFC.
If he went to the Ravens, whew. Anyways, I have them trying to fill the massive hole Chandler Jones leaves them. And I have Eden Prairie boy Jermaine Johnson, the second edge rusher out of Florida State.
Okay. Caleb, go to you on this one. Arizona Cardinals. Who do you have them going with at 23 here?
I think if you have a quarterback who is unhappy with how you're treating him, you treat him well. And the best way to treat him well is maybe you don't roll with the 40-year-old Rodney Hudson at center. Maybe you go with Iowa product Tyler Linderbaum here, who is probably one of the better centers that we've seen come into the draft for. I'm trying to remember the last one that was coming into the draft we knew was going to be as good as Tyler Linderbaum should be. Plus, it also helps.
Going to be good. So much for that.
It also helps that Tyler Linderbaum, I believe he's 6'3". So maybe if Kyler does a 5, 6, 7 step drop back, he'll be able to see over Tyler Linderbaum. But yeah, they need some help on the interior of their offensive line. And so I think adding Linderbaum there, you get a young center who, you mentioned Bradbury. I've seen a lot of people comparing Linderbaum to Bradbury just because of size. However, Linderbaum tested a lot better at Iowa's Pro Day, and he weighed in heavier than Bradbury. I don't remember exactly by how much, but he measured in as bigger than Bradbury, and he's shown that. I think you can probably credit it to his wrestling background. He knows how to use his size to his advantage. He knows how to use leverage. And so I think Tyler Linderbaum, protect Kyler Murray, take Tyler Linderbaum right there.
I think an offensive line pick could be a pretty solid one. However, I did not have them going offensive line. I could see them going. I have them going with Devin Lloyd, a linebacker out of Utah, who Caleb talked about a few picks earlier. I think kind of like he said, I think that could be a good guy to kind of, middle of the field, smart guy out of Utah, help shore up that defense a little bit more. If they went offensive line, like I said, I would not be shocked at by any means if they went that route. But just as far as him going, I think Lloyd, I don't see him dropping too much further than that. So I had him going to the Cardinals at 23.
That would be the third year in a row that they've taken a linebacker in the first round.
Okay.
Well, I guess they're playing Isaiah Simmons more as a safety, but between Simmons, Zaven Collins, and then potentially Devin Lloyd there, you're taking 3 really athletic linebackers in the first round in 3 years. hopefully Lloyd would pan out because they didn't really utilize Simmons or Collins to their fullest.
Right. Yeah. No, that's exactly right. So hopefully they do, but not sure. 24th overall pick, we got the Dallas Cowboys here. I'm going to start us off with this one. They lost Connor Williams in the offseason to my Miami Dolphins. That has been a position that you probably didn't even need to second guess if they were going to show up because they were probably one of the best in not probably, they were one of the best in football for a while. And these last few years, they've dropped off, had some injuries, some retirements, people leaving, not as consistent. So for that reason, I have them going offensive line, and I have them going with Kenyon Green, interior offensive lineman from Texas A&M. So that's who I have there with that. Caleb, who did you have Dallas at 24?
So the only reason I have him falling this far is because there have been some concerns with his conditioning and if he can stay on the field. And that's the incredibly athletic defensive tackle out of Georgia, Jordan Davis.
Okay.
You put him in the middle of that Cowboys defense. That is scary. Almost as scary as Randy Gregory coming at you off the field.
Interesting comparison on that one.
Mixing Greg Hardy in there.
Yep. Both of them, because didn't Randy Gregory also have? Dallas just doesn't have a great history with that.
Okay.
We all know
anyways,
what they don't have a history with.
Well, Mr. Doetkott, who do you have Dallas taking at 24 here?
Well, Jerry Jones pretty much told everybody they're going to take an offense, a guard at pick 24. So that being said, I'll have him taking Kenyon Green also out of Texas A&M.
I see. Okay. Move on now to Buffalo at pick number 25 here. Interesting pick. I have them not interested. I think this was a good pick. But just because I think they'll probably go with the best. What's that?
Sam Howell.
Did I have them going Sam Howell? No.
I quarterback.
Think quarterback position might be locked up.
I dare you. The best quarterback in football. So
I don't have them going quarterback, but I do have them going cornerback, and I have them going with Kyler Gordon out of Washington at 25.
Might be two Washington cornerbacks in the first round. Huh?
Yeah.
Washington's had some really good corners in the past, though.
Yeah.
Nick, who do you have Buffalo taking at 25?
The only running back taken in the first round, which is why this was tough to pick. I'm like, I don't know which one. I think they're going to take the best. I think it was between Breece Hall and the Michigan State kid. Sorry, I'm blanking on his name. Why am I?
Kenneth Walker III.
Kenneth Walker III, yes. It comes down to who's the better pass catcher between the two, I believe. Which, I mean, is still somewhat of a toss-up, but I would say that's Breece Hall. So I will have them taking Breece Hall, running back out of Iowa State, who I think could have an immediate impact for them and would have a good chance at Rookie of the Year.
Okay. Caleb?
Yeah, I got to agree with you, Lucas, on this one. I think they need corner help, especially when you're facing elite quarterbacks like Tua turn the ball over and Zach Wilson and at least they don't have to face Josh Allen.
Yeah, Tua turn the ball over.
So I got them taking Andrew Booth from Clemson. Over under 2.5 interceptions against the Dolphins this year.
Under.
You're probably right. It'll probably just be 2.
Both pick sixes.
Yep.
Okay.
Lucas is now regretting not roasting us more back at pick number 12.
Okay. Yeah, that's all right. So now moving on at 26, we have the Tennessee Titans. interesting choice here for Tennessee, Caleb. Who do you have the Titans taking?
I got the guy that you guys had going a couple picks ago in Kenyon Green, the offensive guard out of Texas A&M. There's really not too many holes on that Tennessee roster. They've got a very complete roster. I could maybe see them going corner here, but I think you take Kenyon Green, best player available still. Yeah.
Nick?
I think there's a good chance they take wide receiver. A.J. Brown's a little unhappy right now. Julio's 58 years old.
Robert Woods?
Oh, gosh, I totally forgot about that.
And
That being
Julio's
said-
not on the roster.
That being said, I still think they could take wide receiver, and Robert Woods might not be healthy week 1. But I have them going linebacker. Like you said, they don't have a lot of holes, but I think linebacker could really help them out. And I have them taking the Georgia kid, Nakobe Dean.
Okay. I actually am with you on that one. I also have them going with Kobe Dean. I think defense is definitely one of their struggle areas. I toyed with the idea of tossing out a quarterback there. I like Ryan Tannehill. I think he's done great things with the Titans. But obviously he ain't getting any younger. Now, I don't think he's at the point to where he's starting to hit a massive decline by any means. But either, sooner rather than later, I think that's a conversation they'll have to have. I didn't have them going quarterback here, but I'd like to say Nakobe Dean is a guy I had at 26 here for Tennessee. 27, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I will start us off on this one. Not a lot of holes, but if there was one, I mean, maybe offensive line. I had them going with Tyler Smith, the lineman out of Tulsa. Like I said, Buccaneers, I don't know. I don't know what their big weakness is. I mean, how long will Chris Godwin be out for with his ACL injury? I don't know. Maybe they go another wide receiver potentially. But, maybe that's where Tyler Johnson steps up and eats up a lot of the role that
Yes, sir.
that Chris Godwin did. We'll have to see. But I have him going offensive line. I have to go with Tyler Smith. Caleb, we'll go with you here.
I don't think they need wide receiver because they got I'm blanking on is the guy from Atlanta.
Gage?
Yeah, they got Russell Gage.
Okay.
So I think they're set at wide receiver. I was torn. I'll put 2 picks here. Because neither of them I have. So Donovan Smith is aging. So I could see them taking. I still have Trevor Penning available from UNI. I could see them going there. Or I could have them going with a guy who could start right away. That would be Devontae Wyatt, the defensive tackle out of Georgia. I could see them going either way there. Who knows? Just depends on how confident are they that Donovan Smith is going to stay healthy for one more year, and how soon do they want to get his replacement?
Nick, what'd you
All
have
right, well,
here?
I'll make Caleb's pick for him then because it's going to be Devontae Wyatt, D lineman out of Georgia. They need somebody to go. They got Vita Vea, but if they can put him alongside with him, yeah, good luck running through that. Devontae Wyatt's the guy. They'll probably, I think they'd be crazy to do this because they're ready to win now and they need to help that. But, they could take quarterback if you really want to be crazy, I don't think so. But second or third round. Second or third round. I suppose, yeah. If you really believe in Kyle Trask.
Well, if I believe in Kyle Trask.
They were ready to believe in Kyle Trask. They didn't trade for anyone the second that Brady retired.
That's right. That's right.
No.
You tell him, Caleb. You tell him.
I'll be honest, I forgot they drafted Kyle Trask, so scratch that.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Devontae Wyatt. No, I'm not trying to trash Kyle Trask. I was trying to cover up for me not remembering they drafted.
Sure. Sure. So we're going to move on now. Green Bay Packers at 28 here. Nick, start us off here. Who Packers second first round pick? Who you have them taking?
Yeah, before when you were mentioning them potentially trading up, I was thinking, well, who would they trade up? Well, yeah, I had forgotten that they had the 28th overall pick also. So there's a good chance they're not picking here anymore. But with that being said, as of now, 28th overall pick, Green Bay, already have them addressing wide receiver first. If they don't, I think it would be foolish. I'm not even kidding. They could just take wide receiver. I don't think that would be a terrible idea. Their best wide receiver is like Allen Lazard, and I can't even name you their second one. But I don't.
Randall Cobb.
Randall Cobb's like 87.
I guess.
He's going to play in a wheelchair, maybe. That being said, I have them taking Bernard Raymond, offensive lineman, Central Michigan. I think that could help them out. They need to go offense, I think. And, yeah, Bernard Raymond's the guy.
So I have Packers at 28 actually going with Devontae Wyatt, the defensive lineman from Georgia. Obviously, I know Darius Smith did not play defensive line, played more linebacker, but I do think that is going to be a pretty big loss for the Packers. And although that's not the same position that they're drafting for, I think that they need to do what they can to try and help the defense. And I think getting him, I think that would help with that. So I have them going with Wyatt. Caleb?
Well, it's funny you mentioned Darius Smith because I have them taking their next edge rusher, potential outside linebacker in David Ojabo, the edge rusher from Michigan.
I thought you were going to go with the Minnesota boy.
I would like to go Mafe there.
Okay.
And they could go Mafe there. I just think that they would see the appeal in replacing Zadarius Smith with another guy who can play outside linebacker and defensive end. I don't know if I could see Boye Mafe play an outside linebacker, but David Ojabo has played some outside linebacker, so I could see them replacing Zadarius Smith with their next David Ojabo, who will probably miss some time, I believe, with his injury. But it's the Packers. They can afford to be down one pass rusher for first half of the season.
Okay.
I'm not a doctor, so don't quote me on when he'll be back.
We won't hold you to it, Caleb. Don't worry. We won't hold you to it. So now moving on, back-to-back picks here. Kansas City has the 29th and the 30th overall pick. Caleb, I'll start with you. I guess we'll just do this in a bunch since they're back-to-back picks, Caleb. So at 29 and 30, who do you have Kansas City going with?
I could also see Boye Mafe going here, but I have them taking George Karlaftis, the defensive end out of Purdue. You mentioned how good he is. The other thing to consider is he was doing that getting double, sometimes even triple teamed, because Purdue did not have anybody else to rush the passer. It was just George Karlaftis, and he was still beating blocks, and he was still getting pressures when he was really the only decent or better defensive lineman there. And so I think Karlaftis would be a great fit there. And then the other one, they're kind of missing one of their best players from last year in Tyreek Hill. They did get Juju, but I think they have to take a wide receiver with one of these two. And so I have them taking Jamison Williams, the wide receiver from Alabama. He's a major home run threat. He's got excellent speed. You got to have someone to stretch the field, and I don't think that's Juju. I don't think it's Mecole Hardman either. So if you had Jamison Williams there, he's not Tyreek. He's not. But he can stretch the field in a similar manner. So I have them taking Karlaftis, and Jamison Williams.
So myself for Kansas City, 29 and 30. At 29, I have them going with Jahan Dotson, wide receiver out of Penn State. For kind of the reasons you mentioned, obviously you lost Tyreek Hill. They did bring in Juju, I believe, Valdez Scantling as well, also with Kansas City. Now, will both of those two, I believe Valdez Scantling, was he a 1 year? I know Juju Smith-Schuster is a 1 year. Was Valdez Scantling a 1 year as well?
Both were.
Okay. So if if not both of those guys leave, well, then you're back into the situation that you were when you traded Tyreek Hill. So I think you draft a wide receiver, have some control of him for a few years. I think they go with Jahan Dotson here. And then 30th, I have them going with Boye Mafe out of Minnesota. Caleb, you obviously talked about that a little bit before, but I have them going that for 29 and 30. Nick, who'd you have Kansas City going back to back?
So yeah, 29 and 30 might as well be just combined into two picks because I mean it's who knows what order they're gonna do it.
Right.
But yes, I also have them taking wide receiver and edge. I think they're gonna want to try to replace Tyreek. Does that mean they try to draft a guy just like him? No, but I think it wouldn't be a bad idea. That being said, with what's left, I mean they don't have anybody worthy of this spot that's like top 5 and 40-yard time. But I have Jahan Dotson left. I have George Pickens left. Jahan Dotson ran a .04 faster than Pickens. Not that really matters, but I have them taking Dotson, wide receiver out of Penn State, just like you, Lucas. Then I also have them edge rusher at number 30. And being that we mentioned him, I hope Mafe goes in the first round. The Gophers have two guys with a chance to go in the first, mainly one, Mafe Fa'alele. I unfortunately don't have any of them going in the first. I'd love to see it. I hope. But I have George Karlaftis, as we mentioned, the edge rusher out of Purdue, going at number 30 to Kansas City.
Cincinnati here at the next pick at 31. I have them going offensive line. And since he has not been picked, I have them going with Tyler Linderbaum from Iowa. That's who I have Cincinnati going with at 31. Caleb, you're looking up into the heavens there. What are you thinking about?
I think that would be a good pick. I did for a long time. I thought they were going to go offensive line, but they really killed it in the offseason with adding offensive linemen. I think Alex Karras, Ted Kappa, Lyle Collins, and then I forget who else they have. They have pretty much an entire new starting offensive line. They could go, if Linderbaum's there, I could see them going with that. Aside from the atrocious offensive line, the other thing that stood out to me in that Super Bowl was how is Eli Apple still a starting cornerback in the National Football League? My goodness.
I agree.
I have them just taking the best corner available, and I do still have Kyler Gordon available, but I have them taking Roger McCreary, the physical cornerback out of Auburn.
Okay. Nick?
I think cornerback is a very good possibility because, as you mentioned, yeah, Eli Apple got exposed in the Super Bowl. But he likes to talk the talk. He's going to want to show out this year and try to prove that he is as good as he said he is. Whether Cincinnati
first ever,
I don't know. So they could take cornerback. However, I still have, I believe I'm saying his name right, Lewis Seen left on my board. Not a cornerback, but secondary, also out of Georgia. Or no, your guy was Auburn. I'm sorry. SEC though. Georgia safety Lewis Seen, I think could fill in nicely in that defense for Cincy.
Okay. And then burning up the rear, Detroit Lions had the 2nd overall pick, have the 32nd overall pick. I have them going quarterback. I have them going with Kenny Pickett, actually, from Pittsburgh. I think if they were to get quarterback first round, I don't think it's going to be 2nd overall. I think it would definitely be right here. So I have them going Pickett. Now, could they potentially get somewhere else and then try to get another quarterback 2nd round? Maybe. I could see it.
I think one of the mocks I looked at had him taking Howell with the 32nd pick.
Okay. Gotcha. But I got Pickett going here. Caleb, got something to say?
As a fan of an NFC North team, I hope they take Sam Howell at number 32. I remember the last time an NFC North team decided to take a UNC quarterback a little higher than they should have. And
They could have had Watson or Mahomes.
yeah.
Well, so who do you guys got here at 32? Nick?
I think they go wide receiver. They hit last year with Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's going to be an absolute stud, by the way. But whoever plays quarterback there, I mean, it's going to be Goff this year, I would imagine. He could use a little more help. I mean, that team needs everybody, as you mentioned. And I think the best wide receiver left is George Pickens out of Georgia. So I got Georgia at 31 and 32.
Okay.
George Pickens is a bully. That man, and I don't mean there was.
He like stole kids' lunch money, or
no. So there was it was a CFB Quotes Twitter account that would like tweet fake news about players, and they tweeted that he like shoved a kid into a locker for some reason. It was fake. The kid retweeted it and said, "No, we did that as a skit," or it was something like that, but no, like on the field, he does not shy away from blocking people. He might have, I don't have a stat on this, so don't hold me to it, but he might have the most pancakes of any wide receiver in this draft class.
Wow.
This man goes hard. So I could see him going there. Ultimately, I have 3 different teams picking at 32, and they're all picking the same player. And that is Matt Corral, quarterback from Ole Miss.
Okay.
I could see Detroit keeping that pick and drafting Matt Corral. I could see Houston or Carolina trading up to get that pick because they're kind of picking early in the they're picking early in the second. And there's some teams ahead of them that might take a quarterback, or even Atlanta could try to trade back up for that and let Matt Corral sit under Marcus Mariota for 4 games to a season, however long it takes. I just see Matt Corral. He is, I don't think he's ready yet, but he has some good potential. And so I could see him going there to any team that has a bridge quarterback in place, like a Jared Goff or a Davis Mills or Sam Darnold or Marcus Mariota. He's not ready to start right away, but if you can sit him for a majority of a season, if not a full season, I think that would be a great fit there.
Okay. Well, boys, that's a wrap on the first round of the mock draft. Now, Caleb, the floor is yours. This is your point in the draft where you give us any potential sleepers, any people that we might not know about, or people that you just thought might be good to highlight.
Well, I think first one I'll go with is a guy who is hands down the best at his position. Might be the most likely in this draft to make the Hall of Fame. And is probably the best player at his position coming out of college. I'm trying to think of the last one. Maybe since Ray Guy. And that's Matt Araiza, the punter from San Diego State.
Yes. This guy's got a boot.
Das Boot.
Yes.
This guy, he's not going to go around 1. But honestly, once Friday starts, you can start the clock for how early is someone going to take Matt Araiza. It might not be Friday. I think it'll probably be Saturday. I don't think he slides to undrafted. But punters are so undervalued that there is a better possibility of this potential Hall of Famer going undrafted than there is of him going in the first round. Mm. And this is a guy who can flip the field. If you're at your own 20,
yes,
he can punt it out of his own end zone and pin you within your own 20.
Yes.
And
This guy's insane.
And that's not even speculate. Like he legit has done this. So like,
yeah, I'm reading up.
Keep an eye out for Matt Ariza, whoever gets him. I don't care who the heck your punter is. You just upgraded from wherever your punter is ranked to a top 5 punter in the league right away. This guy might be all pro as a rookie. Enough about punters, even though they are people. Shout out Pat McAfee.
Right.
Teams that need a defensive tackle and don't want to draft Jordan Davis in the first round, I'll look no further than Idaho defensive tackle Noah Ellis. This guy, everything, size, motor, athleticism. I think he might have a better motor than Jordan Davis. Hot take there. But Noah Ellis, if he had played for a bigger school, and he could have, but his dad was the defensive line coach at Idaho. If he had been at a bigger school, we would be talking about him for sure day 2. As it is, maybe early Saturday. But if you draft Noah Ellis, you're getting a very good defensive tackle.
Dude, Matt Ariza had an 86-yard punt?
Yeah, he's an absolute freaking legend.
86 yards?
I believe Randall Cunningham had a 90-something yard punt once at UNLV.
He's a lefty punter, too.
Yeah.
It's funny, you watch these videos, and it's just the punt returners just looking for the ball because it just sails right over their head.
All right, well, I only got one more sleeper, and that is the guy who got a lot of passes thrown his way because he was the corner that was starting opposite a potential top 5 pick, and that is Kobe Bryant, the cornerback from Cincinnati. He held his own. His stats looked pretty good. He graded pretty well on PFF. And then you have to realize, wait a minute, this guy is getting every pass thrown his way because nobody wants to touch Sauce Gardner. I think he should probably be 3rd round pick. But you're getting a steal at corner there in the 3rd round. And so if the Vikings take him, I would be happy. I wouldn't even, if we get Stingley at 12, maybe consider taking Kobe Bryant in the 3rd round, move Patrick Peterson up to safety with Harrison Smith. You have Stingley, Dantzler, and Kobe Bryant at corner. I'll take Kobe. Plus, that name's just legendary. Rest in peace.
He's supposed to have a C, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's Coby. Yeah.
Well, anyways, Caleb, thank you for coming on the podcast, as always. You are the smartest person in the podcast room instantly when we talk about anything with college football. That's for dang sure.
Well, yeah. Okay, I'll stop being humble. Yes. I do dedicate a lot of my time to college football.
And that's why we have you on here. Is there anything that you would like to plug? Anything you're working on, or what do you think? What's your Twitter handle?
Twitter handle at MSP Athletics.
There you go.
I guess I do have one more sleeper for you because none of us took him in the 1st round. And he was in the conversation for the 1st round for a while, but it seems like he'll fall into the 2nd round, and that's Daniel Falele, the 6'9", 380-pound offensive tackle from Minnesota.
I'd love to have him, man.
We don't need him, though.
No, but I'd love to have him.
There's just nowhere to put him. But watch, now Brian O'Neill is going to pull out Anthony Harris and just be absolute garbage, and we'll all be regretting not taking Daniel Falele.
Anyways.
Yeah, follow MSP Athletics. Occasional drunk sports takes, as well as sober sports takes. It's a good time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you want to follow our Twitter handles, you can follow Nick at Doetkott, myself at Lucas_Dorton, or the Twitter podcast of the Dorton Twitter page of the Dorton and Doetkott Debate Podcast, DND_podcast. Make sure you follow that as well. Subscribe to their YouTube channel. As always, thank you, Caleb. Once again, I appreciate it a lot for coming on the podcast. It was a great time. Absolutely 100% going to have you again in the future. No doubt
Row the
about
boat, Sky Imago Gophers.
There you go. Get their plug for you. Anyways, as for Caleb Sipe, Nick Doetkott, and myself, until next time, we are out.